time. Now I would refer to Ranking Member Hoyer.
I'll be glad to yield the chairman as much time as he wants to consume. First of all, Mr. Commissioner, you were appointed by Donald Trump. Is that accurate?
No,
Pardon?
no, I was not appointed by Donald Trump. I was appointed by President Biden.
Okay, excuse me. I got some misinformation. In any event, I'm going to make my point anyway. Mr. Rettig, one of your predecessors, and you essentially have represented a nonpartisan, bipartisan view of the revenue flow of the IRS and the impact on its ability to do the job that has been given to it by the Congress of the United States. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, my predecessor, Commissioner Rettig, was a significant champion for the IRS workforce and for the dollars to get that we needed to get the job done.
Now, let me, unfortunately, Mr. Edwards left because I wanted to refer to his chart. And did you went up and looked at it?
Yeah, I couldn't see it
What,
from
what was
here,
the time period for that chart? Did anybody recognize it? Did you see anybody?
It talked about the close of audits in 2023, if I recall, and the reality is that because of some audits take months, but many audits, especially conflicts, take years. So the closeout date is very different than the inception date.
Yeah. My point is, I like that chart. And that chart reflects a reality that under $400,000, if you have an audit, essentially, on average, it's a 1-to-1. You spend $5 to do and you save $5. You find $5 in fraud or underpayment. If you audit a millionaires, you get 12 times the expense. So you have a 12-to-1. Now, it is interesting that in the last 10 years, we have audited many, many, many more people under 400,000. Why? It's easy. So you can conduct audits. You don't get much money because the payments are relatively small, and because probably 90% of those, I'm just taking that off the top of my head, don't have a figure, have every week, every bi-week, every month, we collect their taxes. It's the corporations, it's the pass-throughs, it's the partnerships, et cetera, that you don't do that with, which are much larger, which is why you have 4, 5, 6, 12-to-1 return on the audit. So I want to see because he makes our point. To the extent you underfund enforcement, and enforcement has been reduced 22% from 2010 to 2019. Hopefully we have more relevant, more recent statistics than that, but has been reduced 22%. Returns are up 7%. That's a 39% difference there, or 29%, excuse me. So it is not surprising that we have that $687 billion underpayment. Why? Not just because it's just the cheats, or strike that, people who don't pay what they're supposed to pay, but it is also because those who know that there's $687 billion owed, they may not ever be caught. So not only our tax system, one of the great things about it is a largely voluntary system, one of the most voluntary in the world. I think we're now at 87% or something like that.
80, yeah.
Is that correct?
Just north of 85%.
85%. In that ballpark. But frankly, to the extent we reduce enforcement, with all due respect to all of us, if we think, well, maybe it's due and maybe it's not, I'm not going to pay it. And if they catch me, and I pay it. That's why this enforcement system is so critically important. It's also not unusual that those who make the most are audited the less. the least. My, isn't it nice that we don't, for all those people who give us all these big contributions and all that sort of stuff, we won't look at you so much. We're going to look at the little guy a lot, which is what that chart showed. Now, I hadn't seen that chart before, and I don't know the basis, so I have to analyze it. But the EITC, I was glad to hear you say, they don't make anything hardly. They're scraping by. They have it tough. And we want to really look at them. Is there fraud in the EITC? There absolutely is. Why is there fraud in the EITC? Because human beings are participating in it. And human beings want to try to pay as little as they have, me included. But some people cheat. And they claim they are who not. You don't collect much from them because they don't have much. But that's why so much time was spent on it, because we want to see that little old lady who's driving the Cadillac coming and doing the food stamps at the grocery store. So, Mr. Chairman, it concerns me that when people who are making a lot of money, and very frankly, I don't know the statistics on Ms. DeLaura's corporations, but if 41 corporations are paying no taxes, my presumption is they're probably doing that legally. And we make the rules, but we complain about it. But if we make the rules and they're following the rules, they don't pay taxes, God bless them. They got smart accountants, smart lawyers. God bless, I hear that, my colleagues say that all the time. I say, okay, did they go to jail? No. Well, then they're obeying the law, our law. And if you don't like the fact they're not paying any, don't let them have the deductions or the look-backs or whatever that they're taking. I know I've taken a longer time, but this is a critical issue for defense, for national security. Because that's how we pay for national security, for domestic security, because that's how we pay for it. That's how we pay for the administration of all the government through Mr. Werfel's and his colleagues' efforts. And we need to come to grips with establishing a system where we don't have, forget about what the figure is. Let's say it's only $400 billion. Let's say we're over-extrapolating it by $250 billion. If we have a deficit, we need to be collecting everything that is owing, not a nickel more. And on the 400,000 people on the taxes, on the property tax, very frankly, and I come from a high property tax state. Maryland's a rich state. But very frankly, on property taxes, you buy a $2 million home and somebody down the road can't afford a $50,000 home, you want them to subsidize your real estate. Now, that wouldn't be popular in my district, Mr. Chairman. I know that. It's not popular, but I take that position. Because they want the federal government to subsidize what Ms. Doris said they voted for their schools and whatever. God bless them. But don't then look around at the Maryland taxpayer or the Kansas or Iowa taxpayer or even the Ohio taxpayer to subsidize what they decided to spend money on through their property taxes. That won't be popular in my district, but that's the way it is. Mr. Werfel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got a tough job. We're going to have a markup, and I'm going to work very hard to get the money that we need as Americans, not you, not the IRS employee. We need as Americans to fund a tax system that is fair, which means that everybody pays their fair share. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.